Okay, so I just finished recording the lecture on Henrik Ibsen's play, but I thought I'd just walk you through a few things that I've added to D2L this week. The first pertains to this Paper 3 assignment sheet, which is now available on D2L. So in terms of your final grade, I will say that the third paper is worth twice as much as the individual papers in your the individual papers 1 and 2. Another way to put that is it's worth as much as papers 1 and 2 put together. So I think it's important that folks sort of take a look at it and consider it and read it closely. And if they have questions, email me as soon as possible. I'm not going to read through this word for word, but one thing that I do want to point out is that this is a research paper. And so that your job in paper 3 is to compose a 1,200 to 1,600 word research essay that responds to one of the following prompts. And so these prompts are actually questions that you can find at the end of the plays that you either have read or will be reading by the end of the semester. So if, for instance, you are very interested in trifles, it might be a good idea to get started on that right away. Or if you're interested in a doll's house or a dollhouse, it might be important to kind of go ahead and just start working on that and thinking about how you would respond to these prompts. Scrolling through, I do want to point out the essay you write in response to one of these prompts should refer to and cite at least 4 relevant scholarly sources. I'll post some sources to D2L, so I'll be posting some articles to the plays to D2L just to give you a place to start. But sources you find on your own should be obtained via a university or college library, preferably the USD library. I know a lot of students, even those who've gone through sort of freshman comp or have taken composition courses before, the impulse is still to use Google. Partly because you're not quite literate yet in the functionality of the search tools available to you via the library. Those of you who live in Vermilion or who can access the library, physically at USD, or those of you who have access to a university library in your summer resident town, I really encourage you to go there face to face. And if you're having trouble finding sources, talk to the research librarians who are there, who are experts in tracking down information. That's in some sense their specialization is helping. They're detectives. They will help you find stuff, and it's their job as research librarians to do that. So take advantage of that and get some help if you're having trouble finding stuff relevant to the prompts at the top of this assignment sheet. The textbook also provides you a lot of writing instruction that will be useful. Just from the papers I've gotten so far, it's still clear to me that about a quarter to a half of you have not read or digested or internalized the instruction available to you in these chapters, which is aggravating and frustrating to say the least. If this were a face-to-face course, it'd be easier for me to kind of facilitate your engagement with those chapters. But because this is online, a lot of that work sort of falls on you to kind of read, digest these chapters, contact me with questions, contact the Writing Center. If you're not doing that and you're not getting the grades you want, I'm not entirely sure what else to do, right? I'm here if you have specific questions. I'm happy to look at things. I'm happy to do whatever you need, within reason, of course. But a lot of the questions that folks have been writing to me about, the answers are already there in the textbook. And so you're kind of without excuse for some of this stuff. And then just breaking down some things, if you have specific questions about, proofreading or editing or introductions, conclusions, all that kind of stuff, I've included that here. Avoiding plagiarism, that kind of stuff, which breaks down these chapters a bit more. The deadlines, it may feel like these deadlines are a bit in the future, but they'll be here before you know it. Trust me. So I think I can't edit this right now, but I'll have to fix that parentheses, sorry. But you can see that the deadlines sort of follow the typical pattern of past weeks where we've had a paper due. I know not everybody will necessarily be watching this video, but if you are, I do want to reemphasize that participation in the workshop weeks, right, on the discussion forums when a paper is due, this is not like a sort of voluntary thing, right? Those who are choosing not to participate, that doesn't go unnoticed. That doesn't go unnoticed, and I find it somewhat frustrating that many folks are sort of like opting out of things that will in the end sort of cost them not by me sort of getting revenge and grading their paper more harshly, but cost them in terms of sort of chipping away point by point at the final grade. So, for those of you who've been kind of taking a back seat approach to this class, I don't think that's an appropriate metaphor, or a relevant metaphor, but anyway, I think you know what I mean. The 12th week is really the week to kind of step up and do what you should have been doing all semester, right? Anyway, the breakdown of the points is there. I think this adds up to 100 points. Double checking, it does. You'll note that there's a new field research here that's worth 40 points. There is a new rubric available, which I'll show you in just a second. And I've sort of copied and pasted in the expectations for the other papers here at the end of this document as well. I want to point out that there's a sort of extra urgency to do well in the first paper that you submit, because the way in which summer semesters are scheduled, there's not really any time for you to revise the paper at the end. Right, I have to post grades only a few days after the due date of your papers, which means I have to grade them and evaluate them quite quickly, and there is no time to do a revision. So I think that's sort of an extra reason to do as well as possible on this first go around. Anyway, going back to the handouts and assignment sheets, I also want to point out that this rubric is available to you. Many of you don't seem to be aware that there's a rubric, so please sort of check that out. And also, Writing Center info is right here on the front page, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. Okay. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to go over. So if you have questions about the third paper or about what you should be doing in regards to the third paper, I'll be posting probably another video shortly, sort of showing you how to navigate the library website. That'll probably be, again, I'll try to post that this week, but otherwise be on the lookout for articles that I'll be posting about the various plays, and be in touch if you have concerns or questions. Okay, well, have a good week 9. And hooray, we're almost near the end. Okay.